Let's take a quick look at the legislation that led to special education today. In 1971, the Pennsylvania Association for Retarded Children, PARC, won a landmark case against the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It was a decision based on the 14th Amendment, which assures all children, including those with disabilities, the right to a free and appropriate education. Decisions such as this one led to the passage of other very important laws for education with children with disabilities. Next, the Vocational Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This required that no otherwise qualified handicapped individual in the U.S. shall solely by reason of handicap be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. By 1974, this reached further than just employment. It included education, employment, health, welfare, and other social service programs. In 1990, the Vocational Rehabilitation Act of 1973 was made more comprehensive by the Americans with Disabilities Act. In this, child care centers were designated as public accommodations which must be available to all who desire to use them. They must serve all children, including all of those who are disabled. The next on this list may be the most important. The most far-reaching and revolutionary legislation related to education was Public Law 94-142, the Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975. All people between the ages of 3 and 18 must be provided with FAPE, which is free and appropriate public education. It's hard to decipher what this means, but appropriate means suited to the disability, age, maturity, and past achievements of the child and parental expectations. So what you expect as a parent is what is appropriate for your child. It also means that the child will be placed in a classroom that will benefit it the most. The child needs to be in a least restrictive environment, which means if they can perform in the regular classroom, this would be the least restrictive environment. This law was revolutionary for the future of special education. Next came the amendments of 1983, otherwise known as Public Law 98-199. This extended the fiscal authorization for federal aid to state and local school systems through 1987. It improved reporting and information dissemination requirements, increased assistance to children who are deaf and blind, and provided grants for transitional programs, as well as expanding services for children from birth through 5 years of age. Later, the amendments of 1986 were added. Public Law 99-457 for infants and toddlers with disabilities. This established statewide, comprehensive, coordinated, multidisciplinary, interagency programs of early intervention services for infants and toddlers with handicaps, as well as their families. The earlier stated Education for All Handicapped Children Act was changed to IDEA. Although alike in many ways, the difference included zero reject. This required that no exclusion of children ages 3 through 21, and that the public school systems were responsible for including all children in an educational program, regardless of the extent and the kind of their disability. This means that your child, no matter the severity of their disability, must be accepted into an educational program. This again changed when IDEA was switched to the Individuals with Disability Education Improvement Act, which created new regulations in 2006 which are still in effect today. Part of IDEA required the development of an individualized education program, otherwise known as an IEP. An IEP illustrates the goals that schools and parents want for their children with disabilities. Your child must have an IEP if they are using any special education services. With the joint efforts between you, your child, and the IEP team, you will come up with an IEP that best suits your child, that gets them the program that will most benefit them. Next, the rights and responsibilities for parents. IDEA 1997 and 2004 addressed the participation in parents in the development of their child's program. It states that the local education agency or the state education agency will ensure that you, as parents, are members of any group that makes decisions on the educational placement of your child. These are just some of the legislative movements that led to where we are in special education today. Here's a quick glance at the special education legislation on a little timeline. As you can see, it's from 1971 to 2006, lasting from PARC to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act in 2006, which we still use today. So you can take a quick look at this. It's just an overview of what we just talked about by time.